Hello there, this is Greg. This video will go over how to customize the thumbnails area in Scantheus. That's this strip of images of your book displayed along the top of the Scantheus main window. If you click on any of these images, it displays in the main view area. Now, I'll give this warning for any type of customization settings that you can do to the interface. If you are not the sole operator on the scanner, that is, if other operators run the scanner using the same configuration file, anything you change to customize the interface will affect them as well. So if there are multiple operators on a scanner, you should work it out with the other operators or with the supervisor what the best customizations would be for that scanner if you share a config. So let's go into thumbnails. This little expander over here labeled thumbnails. Open it up and it displays the settings that you can change to customize the thumbnail window. First, we're going to do height. By default, it's 128 display units. Let's double that. And you won't see the changes reflected until you close the expander. So there we have it, double the height. Now keep in mind, if you increase the size of this window, then you're going to reduce the amount of real estate that the main image window uses. So I prioritize the design of the interface so that this area here is a large area that you can see some detail. But I know that in some cases, again, this is all personal preference, that users want to see some detail in these images up here. So the more it's scaled down, the less detail you can see. Like if you want to go to a particular page and you recognize how it looks, it might be easier if it's a little bit bigger. So again, personal preference, also based on what type of materials that you're scanning. So we'll go back in here. Let's put this back down to 128. And this mouse wheel increment, by default, as you spin the mouse wheel back and forth, it will go by 1. That's a nice default, but there might be some cases where you want to skip by more than 1 image, 1 page. So let's make that a 5. Close this up. Let's go down here. Let's jump on 10. Now I'm going to move the mouse wheel slightly, and you see it jumps up by 5. I'm going to move it back the other direction. So by default, these will jump by 1, but because I changed that setting, it will now jump by 5. So that might be helpful if you want to do some kind of quality assurance, like looking at every 10th image or so. But otherwise, using 1's a handy way for you to page through the thumbnails. This wraparound, it turns on the ability that at the end of a book or at the beginning of the book, if you go to try to go beyond the end, this book has 23 pages, book being a relative term because it's just sample images. But I'm going to push the right arrow here to go see if I can go to the next image. But because I have wraparound turned on, it took me to the first image. Now I'm going to back up 1. And now it takes me to the last image. And that's what these buttons up here are. That's a single image. And this is by page. So the same thing here. If I click here to go to the next image while I'm at this last page, it'll wrap around to the first page. So by default, that's not turned on. And it'll just stop you at the end of the book or at the beginning of the book, and it won't wrap around. This paging type defines how paging works. The page up and page down arrow, or these double arrows here, are how you page around. A page being X number of images to skip. So by default, this paging type is fixed for 10 pages, 10 images. No, it's kind of confusing, the difference between paging and images. So I'm going to go here to the first image, and now I'm going to go page up, or page down, I guess really is what we're doing here. We're going to do a page, and it's set by 10, so it'll jump 10 images to 11. If I do it again, it'll jump up to 21. So I'm jumping every 10, and the same going backwards, it jumps by 10. So that's the fixed. I can set that to any number, kind of like the mouse wheel increment. If I set this to 5, it'll jump by 5 pages going forward and backwards. Now, the alternate to that is view size, and that turns a page into jumping whatever number of images that are currently shown. Of course, that can be dependent upon how wide you have this set. So right here we got 12 images. Here we have 18 images in the view. But if I page with this mode, it'll jump to the next section of, in this case, we got 18 in a view. So we're going to jump. And because we're on, we only have 23 pages, it just jumped to where it would fill the next section with 18 pages. Let me make this a little more clear. I'm gonna make this and move this down to, let's make a really ridiculously thin interface here. Now I'm gonna jump, we're going by view size. So in this case, our view size is 5 images. So we will be skipping by 5 images front and back. So the view size paging type gives you flexibility if you're changing the size of your main window much. So again, personal preference. By default, it's fixed and 10 pages. And that's all you can do to customize the thumbnails. I'll have other videos covering other settings from the admin expander next.